everyone, and welcome back to Movin' Right Along, the Muppet Movie Podcast, brought to you by ToughPigs.com. It's the podcast where we watch the Muppet movie and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Anthony Strand.
And I'm your other host, Ryan Rowe.
And joining us today is...
Hi, it's Joe Hennes. I'm co-owner of ToughPigs.com, and I'm also here.
That's who it is.
Joe, you came back! I'm so glad you came back for a second week!
I never went anywhere. I've been waiting here for this entire week here on this podcast.
Just been sitting right next to the dictaphone, your tape machine.
That's right. That's how I communicate.
And you're back. So, what are we looking at today, Ryan?
Yeah, let me tell you what we're looking at. We are looking at minutes 5 and 6, in which the opening credits continue to roll. Kermit starts to sing Rainbow Connection, and the snippet cuts him off just as he's saying, "Look what it."
That's very precise.
Yes, thank you.
I also wrote that down in my notes. Look what it.
I did not. I'm the only one.
Everyone will just have to wait until next episode to find out what it will do.
Find out in 1 week what it will do.
Yeah. So those lyrics... Those lyrics are part of The Rainbow Connection, which is a song written by the two gentlemen whose names are on the screen at the beginning of the snippet, and that would be Paul Williams and Kenny Asher.
So, first of all, I want to talk about how we Muppet fans have a tendency to talk about the songs from this movie as though they were just written by Paul Williams. Right?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened or why that happened.
Because Paul Williams is responsible for the lyrics, and... that tends to be the thing that people cling to more, especially when we're talking about something like this, where like the words have such meaning to us.
The credit doesn't say lyrics by Paul Williams, though. It says music and lyrics by Paul Williams and Kenny Asher. And when Paul Williams talks about these songs, he generally talks about them as a collaboration between the two of them.
Right. Well, and I think if you look at some other famous songwriting teams, for example, Howard Ashman and Alan Menken. Alan Menken is the music guy. He's the melody guy. But everybody knows who he is.
Right.
You know, nobody says The Little Mermaid songs by Howard Ashman.
Right.
I mean, and the other thing is like Paul Williams was already an established celebrity at this point.
I think that's probably what it is. Everyone just has seen Paul Williams more than they know who Kenny Asher is.
Right. Well, and also for Muppet fans specifically, I think he was on the Muppet Show. He had already done the songs for Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. He would go on to do the songs for, obviously, Muppet Christmas Carol and everyone's favorite, Letters to Santa.
Indeed.
So, like...
Yeah, he was always a very good friend to the Muppets.
Right. He was just at their live shows at the Hollywood Bowl. Kenny Asher, this is it. This is his only Muppet work, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even tell you what the guy looks like. I mean,
well,
I've seen it in documentaries and
actually,
stuff.
it's funny. One thing that I wanted to mention, I once went to a concert by Keely Smith, who was, I think she's still alive as far as I know, but she's a singer who I believe was married to Louis Prima and recorded a few songs with him. She's actually on the recording of That Old Black Magic that they used on Sam and Friends. But anyway, before Keely Smith actually came out to sing, her band sort of did an opening act. And at one point, the guy who was sort of emceeing the thing said, "All right, so now we're going to have our piano player, Kenny, take the spotlight. He's going to play his best-known song. He wrote this song. Maybe you've heard it." And the guy sits down at the piano and starts playing The Rainbow Connection. And I went, whoa.
And you flipped out.
Yeah, I went, whoa, that's Kenny Asher.
And then Kenny Asher stopped playing and said, wait, someone knows me?
Yes.
Kid, who are you?
And yet I couldn't tell you now what he looked like. I think he has a beard.
Well, I just looked at his Wikipedia page earlier today, and at least in that photo, he does not have a beard. And he kind of looks like, I don't know, David Strathairn, kind of a David Strathairn type.
Oh, interesting.
David Strathairn.
So when a casting director says, "Get me a David Strathairn type," they're going to call Kenny Asher.
We're going to call Kenny Asher. Yep. And I also looked it up. It looks like he's written a lot of jazz compositions on his own, as
Yes.
well as many collaborations with Paul Williams.
Yeah, well, they wrote "You and
So
Me Against the World" together a few years before this movie, which is, probably one of the reasons that they got involved together on this.
So he was the you in You and Me, and Paul was
He
the
was.
me.
And all the rest of us were the world.
And Kermit sang that song on The Muppet Show with Helen Reddy.
Nice.
Oh, and
tie
didn't Johnny Fiamma sing that on The Muppets Tonight?
That is very possible.
I think so.
I don't remember Johnny Fiamma's catalog as well as Kermit.
Yeah.
Johnny Fiamma discography.
Yeah. But he also wrote all the songs for the Barbra Streisand version of "A Star Is Born." So he's had an interesting career.
But they did that together too. Paul Williams famously wrote "Evergreen," right?
Oh, I don't know, but there you go. Your notes are obviously more thorough than mine.
I guess so. One of the things that I'm kind of interested about in these minutes is that a lot of these credits are people who this was their only interaction with the Muppets, is the Muppet Movie. Several of the people we're going to talk about coming up.
Yeah.
And Kenny Asher's one of them. So I want to note that Kenny Asher is still alive and is still working.
Yes.
Also, still touring. You saw him however long ago, but he's still out there.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, maybe 7 years, I'm going to guess, but yeah, that's good that he's still out there and still working. So we can move on to the next credit, which is film editor Chris Greenberry. This is one of his earliest credits on IMDb.
Well, I looked it up. It's actually his first feature.
Oh,
he
there you
had done
go.
some shorts and some TV. And he went on to have a very long and successful career after this.
Yeah, he's done mostly, or I believe he's no longer with us, but he did mostly comedies.
Yes, and specifically he worked with the Farrelly Brothers for years. He was the editor on Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin, There's Something About Mary, Me, Myself, and Irene, Shallow Hal.
Stuck on You.
Stuck on You, yeah. So it's so strange to me, reading all those credits, that the same guy who I would never in 100 years have watched There's Something About Mary and thought, boy, this editing reeks of the Muppet Movie.
Yeah,
it is familiar, this editing.
Yeah, it's funny how you don't really pay attention to these, because what you said, these are not people who worked with the Muppets again, so we just kind of, how many times have we seen this movie and seen the name Chris Greenberry come up on the screen, but it's just never really registered itself in our brains.
Well, right. I'll also say that when I was a kid, I would fast forward to this section. Get to the frog.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So not a lot of times did I see his name and wonder who he is.
We should note that he was nominated for an Oscar for editing American Beauty.
Yeah, which is a real departure from the rest of his credits.
Right, smack in the middle of that run of Farrelly Brothers movies.
Yeah, and this coming after he had done stuff like... So he did Smokey and the Bandit 3, Haunted Honeymoon, Naked Gun 2.5, Loaded Weapon 1, Biodome, Booty Call, and then there's American Beauty.
You know what's great? You listed all those. Actually, in my notes, I also have Serendipity, Wild Hogs, and Dr. Detroit.
There you go. Wow. Yeah. So, good for him. And he got to edit the Muppets.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he got to edit the Muppets, and he was nominated for an Oscar. So he did just fine.
Talk about him more when we do our Biodome podcast.
Yes. And if we had infinite time, we would go through all of his credits and try to find what all the various Muppet connections are in the casts of those movies. But we don't have infinite time.
There are many. Oh, and by the way, Joe, I think that our Biodome podcast should be called Kegger Party, a Biodome podcast.
Great. I'm in.
Because they talk about going to a kegger party.
Yes.
I bet I would really like that joke if I had ever seen Biodome.
We should watch
I saw it so many times as a kid, and it's so bad.
Me too.
What is it rated?
It's rated PG, weirdly.
Oh, that is weird. Huh.
Yeah, it's because they're really going for the Bill and Ted audience, I think.
Yeah, obviously.
Anyways, William Atherton is the bad guy. So I'm sorry, William Atherton. I'm done. All right, go on. Who's next, Ryan? Who's the next credit?
The next credit is production designer Joel Schiller. He doesn't have a lot of especially high-profile credits, at least on IMDb. His credits do include Lenny, the Buddy Holly story, The Big Bus, which is the sort of infamous airplane on a bus knockoff. And
we should note that The Big Bus is directed by James Frawley.
Oh, that's right. That explains it. Yeah.
So, and actually, it's not an airplane knockoff because it came out 4 years before Air. In 1970.
Oh, wait. Then what am I thinking of?
You think it's a disaster movie spoof? It just predates Airplane.
Okay. What about Super Train? Did that come out after Airplane?
Yeah, I think so. That was the NBC miniseries or whatever.
Oh,
I think that's
then that's not what I was thinking of. Then I have no idea what I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah, the Big Bus is a disaster movie spoof, so it's possible that you saw it at some point and assumed it was an Airplane knockoff.
Yeah, that's probably it.
But
so where does
predated
fit in all this?
As far as I know, Joel Schiller did not work on Biodope, but one of his other credits that I did notice was the horrible Vonnegut adaptation, Slapstick of Another Kind, starring Jerry Lewis and Madeline Kahn.
I've never seen that. It's an adaptation of one of Vonnegut's less brilliant books. So, yeah, I can only imagine that Joel Schiller did the best job that he could, but it apparently still didn't turn out so great.
Right. And Joel Schiller did pass away earlier this year, January 17th, 2017, at the age of 86.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Should probably all get together and watch The Big Bus in his honor.
Or the Muppet Movie.
Yeah, we can just watch this again.
Or we can just watch the Muppet Movie, sure.
So then we're moving on to the next credit, which is director of photography Isidore Mankovsky.
I noticed looking over his IMDb that he mostly worked in TV.
He did a lot of TV, including several of the 80s Magical World of Disney TV movies, which are near and dear to my heart because that was right in my childhood Disney fandom. So he did the now little remembered Nutty Professor TV movie with Harry Anderson, and The Parent Trap 3, and a bunch of other stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Also, Columbo, Magnum P.I.,
yeah.
and to tie this back to our inspiration podcast, Ewoks Battle for Endor.
Ah, yes.
Now, is that the first one or the second one?
That's the first one, I believe.
So Caravan of Courage is the second one? I can never
Caravan
remember.
of Courage is the second one, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I believe so. But also, he did do a few other features, including Somewhere in Time, the 1980 jazz singer with Neil Diamond, and Better Off Dead and One Crazy Summer. The two movies directed by Savage Steve Holland.
Yeah, which Better Off Dead is a great one.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's great.
And, of course, he also was the director of photography for A Very Brady Christmas.
Oh, was he really? I didn't notice that one. I glossed over that one.
Yep, that's a classic.
Although I do want to step back to Better Off Dead for a second, just to ask: do you think Isidore Mankovsky got his $2?
I hope so.
I hope so.
All right. So, what Joker is up next?
Next up is executive producer Martin Starger. We've already seen his name.
Yeah, I think we covered him last week, as well as we're going to.
Was it Starger or Starger, by the way? I think you said Starger last time.
I said Starger, but I'm just guessing. I don't.
Okay, so I think we covered his credits.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone doesn't remember, they can either go back and listen to last week's episode, or they can look him up on IMDb or Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
Or just forget about it, because who cares?
Aw.
Just forget about old Martin Starger.
Martin Starger had a family. Has a family.
Martin Starger.
So then, this is when the clouds part and the rainbow sort of fades away, and we start this very big, epic helicopter shot on the swamp.
Which, by the way, every time I see this movie and you see the sun's reflection on the swamp, it looks like an oil spill to me.
Yeah, it does look kind of slick. Yeah, it looks like something might be on the water. So one note here from the the June 12th, 1978 draft of the screenplay. Originally, the movie was going to start with a shot of the entire universe, like presumably just like stars and constellations and planets. The script says the endless reaches of outer space. Then, very gradually, in what appears to be one continuous shot, we move into one particular galaxy, and from there the shot would zoom in on the planet Earth, and then on the Western Hemisphere, and then on the United States, and finally into a swamp in the Deep South.
Wow. That's needlessly epic.
It would have been really cool, but I think this is another one of those examples of let's kind of just get to the point.
It's interesting to me that the script says appears to be one continuous shot from space, because in my mind, it's always one continuous shot from the sky to Kermit. But watching it today, it's not.
No, it's not.
It pans down for a while, then it cuts to the swamp, and then it pans in on Kermit again. But
right.
There's a very, very clear cut that my mind just forgets about.
There's a subtle dissolve that I probably didn't notice until I had seen this movie at least a dozen times.
Well, but the dissolve works so well because you're looking through the clouds.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's the first dissolve, and then later there's another one going into where Kermit is.
True, yeah, from the helicopter shot to the swamp. What I was going to say earlier, though, so I took a script writing class in college, so of course I'm an expert. The one thing that we learned was about how important the very first thing that you see in a film is, and how it really sets up a lot of either the tone or the thesis statements or the overall plot or whatever it is. And I mean, we're talking about literally the first frame. This is a weird movie because we've got the actual beginning of the film and then the beginning of the film within the film. And I wasn't on your first episode of the podcast, so I can't really speak to the first one. But the film within the film, and as well as what Ryan you were just talking about with the script starting in outer space, it's like what exactly is Jim or James Frawley, the director, trying to say with this idea that like we're starting in the sky or in outer space or heaven or whatever, and then coming down to the ground level reality, I guess.
I think that the Kermit is not just Kermit's story is universal. I really do. I think that's what they're saying, right?
That's pretty much what I was thinking. Like it's starting from a very big place. Like Kermit is going to go on this big journey, but then it zooms in and he's just one frog in the swamp.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Good answer.
I mean, if you will, it starts when he's a kid, a show off at school. All right. Whatever.
I get that sounds familiar.
But we're also, and this this version, as opposed to the script version, makes more sense because we are going back to that rainbow motif over and over again. So even though we are starting in the clouds, really, we're starting in a rainbow.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Down to where the beginning thing was, that is eventually going to be, a cornucopia of Muppet characters and dreams and entertainment.
Ooh. Yeah.
Also, nobody wanted to hear a song called "The Cloud Connection."
No, it's about how you can't connect to the cloud because you're back to play.
It was really ahead of his time.
It was very ahead of his time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I also want to say when the camera goes down and we go from the helicopter shot into the swamp and we hear Kermit's banjo playing and we hear him start to sing. I always had this like "Where's Waldo" in my head, where if I can see if I can spot Kermit. Literally every single time, I can never remember where he is.
Yeah,
I don't see him.
Yeah, it's such a wide shot. It takes a minute to find him.
Yeah.
I think that makes it that much more impressive. That it makes it obvious. Like, oh wow, they really got this Muppet on a log in the middle of a real swamp, or what appears to be a real swamp.
Right.
That's true.
Clearly, he's not just.
We're used to the Muppets being so in your face, as we saw in last week's episode, and to have something that's so overly subtle, like it's like beyond subtle, like it's almost so subtle it's hidden. It doesn't seem very Muppety, but of course it makes a ton of sense in context.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, this is, like as we as many listeners might know, they had done camera tests outside to see how the Muppets were going to look out in the real world. So this isn't just the first shot of the movie within the movie. This is the first time the audience is ever seeing the Muppets out in the real world.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Unless you count Dog Lion or Statler and Waldorf.
Right.
Yeah, but that's not even world. That's a set of a fake movie studio.
Yeah,
we have Sesame Street and things like that, but Sesame Street, it's certainly in the 70s, is mostly shot in the studio,
Yeah.
I mean, later on there would be things like Big Bird in China, but that hadn't happened yet.
It's on a TV screen. Like, we're talking about like a feature film.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they were really going big when they got to this.
Right. They pull it all the stops. It's the Muppet Movie. It's not a Muppet Movie. We don't know if there's going to be another one.
And it's not the Muppet thing that you're watching. It's the Muppet Movie. It's a major motion picture.
Right.
That's right. They're upgrading from this stage show that we've been watching for the last few years.
Yeah.
We do have, I think, 2 more credits. The one is producer Jim Henson. I think we all know who that guy was.
That's the same guy from last week, right?
Yes, he did a bunch of coffee commercials in Washington D.C. and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Although we should say that, like, I think people often assume he directed this movie.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And my understanding is that he served a very similar behind-the-scenes function here as what he did on the Muppet Show, which he also never directed. Which is that, like, he was in charge of operations. He was in charge of. Right. He was making sure that everything went smoothly. He was the guy who, like, knew the Muppets inside and out, obviously.
Right.
But especially in these days, before he started moving on to, the fantasy stuff in the 80s, he's, like, really the guy on the floor, right?
Yeah, and he wasn't like setting up shots necessarily, but he was still sort of making all the big decisions, I assume.
Right.
So the next credit is written by Jerry Jewell and Jack Burns, and it is the word "and," which I assume that in 1979 it was still, or it was already the way it is today, where the word "and" means they worked on separate drafts of the script.
Right. As opposed to writing together.
Right.
I have always loved that the Muppet Movie is credited to the only 2 people who were ever the head writer of the Muppet Show. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Burns was the head writer for season 1, and Jerry Jewell was, of course, the head writer for seasons 2 through 5.
But I did just learn that that Jack Burns appeared in the pilot for Jim Henson's Puppet Man.
Yes, he is in Puppet Man. So there we go. He did work with them again.
Right. This is his last writing credit with them. But yeah, I forgot about that too. And we should mention that Jack Burns is perhaps best known as a comedian, stand-up comic, a duo with Avery Schreiber, who was a Muppet Show guest star. Yeah. And he was on the Andy Griffith Show for a season. He hosted SNL one time. He was around.
He had a short-lived comedy duo with George Carlin. I did not know that.
Huh. I also did not know that.
I'm reading that on the Muppet Wiki, so it must be true.
Yeah, and evidence suggests that he was the one who came up with the name Gags Beasley for Fozzie's comedy writer, because after writing for the Muppet Show for a season, when he hosted SNL, in one sketch he played a comedy writer named Gags Beasley.
Nice. Right. So clearly this was something in his mind. So then the other co-writer of the film is Jerry Jewell, who I think we, like, hardcore Muppet fans, feel like is a legend and everybody knows who that is. Many casual Muppet fans probably have never heard the name Jerry.
That's probably true, and it's a shame.
They probably would credit him for all of their favorite things that the Muppets have ever done.
Right. He was a writer on the Muppet Show the whole time, head writer for the last 4 seasons, head writer for Fraggle Rock the entire time, and co-wrote 5 out of the 6 Muppet movies released in his lifetime, which he died in 2005 at the age of 67.
And he wrote various specials and...
Right.
Yes, he wrote Muppet Family Christmas, which a lot of people credit as their favorite Muppet thing, was written by him, which is just an epic of Muppet proportions.
Right.
Yeah.
It's his masterpiece.
Did you like that? Did you like that that spoonerism I just did?
Yeah, I had to think
I
about it
did.
for a
That was
second, but I
good.
liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was an
It was
excellent.
good. But yeah, he did not write Muppets Take Manhattan, but he wrote the other 5 of the like he's credited on the Muppet Movie, Great Muppet Caper, Christmas Carol, Treasure Island, and Muppets from Space.
Amazing.
The last Muppets from Space, especially, I don't know how much it was actually his work, but he is credited on 5 theatrical Muppets as a writer.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Crazy.
That would be a good trivia question too. Is that I should keep a running list of things that seem to me like good trivia questions on this show, but to ask a Muppet fan which of those 6 movies did Jerry Jewell not have a writing credit on?
Right, and again, this is maybe a topic for 2 years from now. We're talking about Muppets Take Manhattan, but I always assumed he was busy with Fraggle Rock, and that's why he didn't work on that film.
Yeah, I mean the timing.
But I don't know that to be true.
Yeah.
That's a really good guess.
Yeah.
All right, so we got still a lot of this snippet left to go. The next credit is directed by James Frawley, who we've talked about a little bit.
One thing that really impressed me looking up James Frawley's career. So he also mostly worked in television. He made a few features, but he mostly worked in TV. His TV directing career spans from The Monkees to Grey's Anatomy.
Oh wow!
Which seems impossible to me. Like he's still alive. It seems like he's retired. His last credits are some Grey's Anatomy. I think the newest one was 2009. But yeah, so he directed. I mean, in between, he did Batgirl, Columbo, Magnum P.I., Cagney and Lacey, Law and Order, Judging Amy, Ed, Smallville, all kinds of stuff. He did the pilot for Ally McBeal. A lot of shows, a wide variety of shows.
Yeah.
And a few features as well, but nothing especially notable. We mentioned The Big Bus, but his other features include a tennis drama starring Beau Bridges called The Christian Licorice Store, which is an amazing title.
What a weird title.
A heist caper starring Dennis Hopper called Kid Blue, and only one movie after the Muppet Movie, a farce called Fraternity Vacation, which Roger Ebert described as a dumb sex comedy.
It sounds like a dumb sex comedy.
I'm also learning right now that Jim Henson hired James Frawley after seeing his work on the Monkees because he thought that was the kind of humor that he wanted for the Muppets.
Yeah, it does seem like a good fit, like genuinely funny comedy and musical numbers that were interesting to watch.
Right. Well, and I mean the Monkees was single camera, so it's not like a shot in front of an audience show. It had a lot of special effects work. Characters were always like popping out of the frame, or you know what I mean, like items would disappear or whatever. They did that kind of joke a lot.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, it lines up really well.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, James Frawley, who, have you guys ever heard him talk about the Muppet Movie? I never have, and I'd really like to read.
I'm reading on the wiki right now. Apparently, he was interviewed in 2007, and he talked briefly about getting the job. That's where I'm learning this thing about the Monkees. But that's I mean, not as far as I know. If anyone knows how to get in touch with him, let us know. We'll interview him.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, and then so as we mentioned earlier, this helicopter shot continues down to the swamp. We got trees and water, and then there's the very subtle dissolve that we mentioned from the wider helicopter shot into the area
swamp.
where, I mean, we're already in the swamp, but from outside the swamp to the inside of the swamp where Kermit is on his log.
And
Kermit's on a log, and Jim is in a tank underneath.
Right.
Yeah, that's called a bathysphere, and apparently he was in that for many hours. It's a good thing he wasn't claustrophobic.
Yeah. Well, and like you mentioned, many hours. Like it's crazy because this scene seems like it's so simple, right? Like watching it on the screen, there's nobody else on screen. It's just Kermit, but Kermit is not an actor. Kermit is a puppet being held up by a man in a tank submerged in water.
That's a really good point. It would be so simple for an actor to just sit on a log and sing, but it takes so many people and so much preparation and just the technical all the technical preparation to get a frog puppet to sit on a log and sing.
Why didn't Jim just hide behind something? He had to put himself in a tank.
Why do it the easy way?
It's a good question.
I think because they wanted it to look like Kermit was really sitting out in the middle of the swamp.
Oh, of course.
You know, like he's not like near the shore, you know?
Yeah.
He's like on a floating log as far as we can tell. We should also mention about the Rainbow Connection that it was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Original Song that year. And it lost.
Did it lose to?
It lost to It Goes Like It Goes from Norma Ray.
That chestnut.
I've seen Craig Shemin from the Jim Henson Legacy, and he's also a prolific Muppet writer. I've seen him do this multiple times when he's introducing events, like screenings at the Museum of the Moving Image, where he'll mention that little tidbit of knowledge, and then he'll say, "Okay, and now let's all sing together. It goes like it goes."
That's
and of course,
good.
Yeah, nobody knows how that song goes.
Nobody
remembers that song.
You know, someone knows.
And somebody out there.
They have their own podcast where they're talking about it right now. Like you know what it beat out? Something called Rain.
Some Muppet song. Muppets
they're doing that on the Norma Ray Minutes podcast right now.
It's the Sally Fieldcast.
Right, that's it. Well, yeah, and then that pretty much just brings us to Look What It's and the end of the snippet. I do have a few more things about Rainbow Connection, but I think I'm going to save them for next week.
We can have more Rainbow Connection talk next week.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to listening to it. I'm not going to stick around because I've been sitting here for 7 straight days and I'm very tired.
I can't blame you.
It's going to be great. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Okay, so Joe, thanks for being here.
Of course, thank you for having me. I had a wonderful time, and I will not be coming back next week, but I hope that I come back someday.
We'll see.
Thanks.
All right, and everyone else, thank you for joining us as well. And don't forget to check out toughpigs.com, the website, which is on the internet, as well as Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and all those other things that people do. And join us again next week for another episode of Movin' Right Along. Bye.
Bye.
Bye forever.